Dear friends, respected chairman of World Tourism Network, eminent panelists, and all the friends of our tourism fraternity, namaste and welcome to this session. So basically, we all know we went through a very challenging time since last 20 months. During this pandemic time, probably the hardest hit industry is tourism, because this industry is based on the movement of the people. Since we went through a strict lockdown, sometimes partial lockdown, and different hassles and restrictions in travel, we had to burn these all difficult, had to go through all difficulties. But slowly, since last 3, 4, 5 months, the vaccination rate is gearing up, and slowly the contamination of the virus or this pandemic is also coming into the control. And slowly the restrictions are being relaxed. So we are quite hopeful that very few tourism industry will start recovering. In this context, in our region also, for example, Nepal, we have removed quarantine policy, mandatory quarantine for fully vaccinated travelers. Maybe in India also there are some relaxation in strict restrictions in traveling. Maybe Bhutan also in a mood to open up. So within the region, how we are preparing to open up, how we can collaborate to recover this tourism together. So in this line, we have aimed today's session to interact in these lines and get some insights which might be useful for our industry friends. So without much delay, first I would like to introduce Mr. Jürgen Thomas Steinmetz. He is chairman of World Tourism Network. He will tell us about little bit about World Tourism Network also. This is a newly established global organization. And probably this organization is the most active organization who keep on, the advocating, guiding, educating the industry friends during this pandemic time also. He is including Mr. Yogan, our eminent speakers. They doesn't need any introduction. They are well known figures in our region in tourism. Not only by the contribution they have made, the professional achievements they have gained. So everybody knows these figures. First, I would like to welcome Jürgen Steinmetz for welcome remarks. Please share some insights how global tourism is preparing to recover, and give some insights how our region should be prepared and come up to recover from this pandemic. Please, Jürgen.
The World Tourism Network started in December of last year, currently with members in 128 countries, public, private sectors. We live really on the feedback of our members and what our members are doing. We're only as good as our members. And we have interest groups, all different type of interest groups. One is the Himalayan group Deepak started, and Deepak has been there from the very beginning. We have a new group we just brought in, I mentioned, with Professor Jeffrey Lipman on climate change. We're bringing, we have a group, I know Damshu from Bhutan is part of it. I hope this is not my microphone.
Nandalal, I think.
Roger from Australia is part of Happiness Factor. So these are all groups we independent initiatives. We bring into the global discussions. So anyone who doesn't want to know more about WTN or World Tourism Network, just go to wtn.travel and you'll find more. One of the things we did for World Tourism Day, and I see some of the faces here actually were a part of it, we honored our hero. We have an award program, but it's absolutely free. We're not going to ask you or anyone who's nominated for any money, promotions. It's our heroes program. And Deepak was nominated as a hero from the very beginning. So he's one of our 22 heroes right now we have around the world. and it's definitely well deserved. And you see, you see what he has been contributing to this industry. Nevertheless, many of you know me as publisher for eTopo News, and this, I think, was enabled World Tourism Network really to get to a global platform very fast. Our live stream discussions have been quite successful, not only for those people that attend them live, but more like this one, we're going to live stream through all our channels and also through partner channels. One of our partners in India, for instance, is Himalayan Times newspaper. So we have partners all over the world where we reach out, not with every session, and live stream, and then also, of course, publish articles. All our articles in eTopo News are articles you can read online, articles you can listen because it's converted into podcast, and now articles you can also watch. And again, I'm very privileged to be part of this group, and I think the Himalayan region, Nepal, Bhutan, is enormously important in the world, specifically now when our times are changing into social distancing, distance and nature. And it's a destination, all of these are destinations, I think, that have the opportunity to set an example to the world how to reopen the travel and tourism industry, because all the factors that come with the virus can easily be isolated in smaller independent country regions like Nepal and Bhutan. But then again, from the nature itself, it is quite easy to observe all these things our medical professionals are telling us to observe and to keep control over it. But I'm looking forward to the discussion. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to open it. Back to you, Deepak.
Thank you, Jürgen, for your very wonderful remarks. Now I would like to start with Damchoji. Damcho Renjin is a very dynamic and young tourism professional, CMO, Chief Marketing Officer of Tourism Council of Bhutan. His proactiveness always inspires us in this region, and Bhutan always a very inspiring destination. So Damchoji, please share with us how you are thinking or planning to reopen Bhutan, what kind of the protocols that you have set or you are going to set for inbound travelers. Please share with us.
Sure, thank you. Firstly, thank you, Deepak ji, and of course you again, WTN. And I must say that it's so good to see some of our colleagues here. I think when we see our colleagues here and when we have sessions like this, it gives us more hope that we can open tourism soon, instead of us all staying in isolation, almost like in lockdowns, not seeing each other. So it gives me a hope for opening tourism soon. So when I see you all, so thank you for being here and then also having me here. So in terms of looking at how is Bhutan preparing to open to tourists, there are two elements to this. But before that, I think a brief overview on what is the focus for tourism in Bhutan. Of course, I think some of our colleagues are really well aware of our tourism policy of high value, low volume, specifically on high value. So our objective of high value tourism is really not just getting benefits as a destination, but also most importantly, to give visitors a very good experience. So from that angle, in terms of the preparation for like the systems and the guidelines, we are ready. We have health and safety guidelines and overall operation guidelines of getting tourists from the airport till going to different places and then sending it back. So the whole system of the journey of a tourist, of how do we take care, how do we make sure that they have a good experience and at the same time they are safe. This is done. But in terms of the service providers, because we like I said, the high value tourism is also all about high quality experience that tourists get. So in terms of that, we have realized that because some of the hotels have been used for general quarantine, they really need to now improve and enhance their standards and quality. So our office is working with the agencies and the industry to ensure that this is actually taking place in terms of enhancing the quality and also standards of especially the hotels and the service providers. So that's happening just now as I speak here. So we have a team talking about clean and safe certification program. So here the hoteliers and restaurants are being trained of certified of how they can be providing clean services and at the same time safe certification. I think with COVID, people are really now wanting to know how can I be safe when I actually travel. So they are being trained and certified, and this is going to expand to tour operators and guides because the system of tourism in Bhutan, you will have to travel with a guide through a tour operator in Bhutan. So to ensure and to give visitors a very good experience of high value experience, and at the same time the local destination is actually safe and benefits out of tourism, to realize the vision of high value tourism. So we are working towards that. So let me recap. So the guidelines to make sure that tourists are safe, the destination is safe, and at the same time, tourists also have a good time. It's all done. So there's operation guidelines, we have prepared health and safety guidelines, and also to some extent, question and answer of what is the cost of vaccination, where do I get information, how do I book a tour? So these are all done. But at the ground level, because it's very important that at the ground level also they're well prepared. So this is where we are at the moment putting our efforts to make sure that tourists, when they come here to Bhutan, they have good experiences. So that's something that I want to actually stop at the beginning. So later, I think Deepak, I'll get more points to share about how do we collaborate and how can we as a region move forward. So this is a summary. So thank you very much. Deepak, you're on mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Damchaji. Now we are moving to Rajneeshji. Rajneeshji is Honorary Secretary for Indian Association of Tour Operators. He is also a very well-known personality in the region. He has led many issues and agendas in the tourism industry in India and in the region. So I would like to invite and welcome Rajneeshji. Please share with us how India is opening up. What are the the inbound protocols for the inbound travelers? If, let's say, for example, the visitors, they want to come from Europe or America or from the major source market, can they come to India right now? So just share on these lines, Rajneeshji.
Namaste, and thank you, Mr. Deepak Joshi, for introducing me. And I also thank you, Jürgen, for organizing this on the platform of WTN. I would start by saying, over a period of 18 months now, I take COVID as passé. It is something the 18 months have taught us, with ups and downs, first wave, second wave, various variants, that this thing is not going to go so soon, and we can't continue with stops to our lives. The world is opening up, India is opening up, Nepal is opening up, Bhutan's in the process, Bangladesh is around. So at the total scenario, I would look at is, with the vaccination drive, things should be gradually now easing up. This is my first take as far as COVID is concerned. Talking about India, probably the second fastest vaccination drive after China, which is we have till date have vaccinated, we have given 860 million vaccines so far, out of which 230 million are double vaccinated. But ours is a country of 1.35 billion people, so we are still looking at big numbers, more numbers. But by December, our target set by our Prime Minister, and we are heading towards in right direction, 1 billion plus doses of vaccine. Now, when I say that, I'd just like to mention here that the month of April and May had given some very horrid times to India and the Indians. But media showed it in a much more tougher and even a worse bad light. It wasn't that bad though, yes. People were suffering, including people in my family. Now, India is opening. That's how I start my thing coming to tourism now. Yes, India is opening. Government is very, very keen to start the tourism but in a little phased manner, partly cautious manner. India is at present having bubble flight arrangement with 49 countries, but that's a bubble arrangement. These are not scheduled flights, and different countries, different protocols. So there are hiccups, yes, but things are happening. As of now, we have business visas being given, student visas, medical tourism, essential visas are already in place. The MICE visa and the tourism visa is on hold. My friend here from Bangladesh would know that the flights from Dhaka to Kolkata are mainly filled as of now with most of the people traveling for a medical tourism. So on those fronts, it's happening. Coming to tourism, it's a large country. It's a continent in itself. It's a very vast population, 29 states, different union territories, regions. And what we have in India, from center, the policies move to the states. Each state can take their own decision to put restrictions, lockdowns, curfew hours in the night, as per the situation locally, up to the level of each district in India. As far as these things are concerned, they have been there and they are gradually easing out. First is domestic tourism. India is almost 90% open for domestic tourism within India. And Indians are big time traveling within India, spending their money, and hotels have already started the process of getting a very, very good revenues and very good return of the tourism. On the international front, first I will say from India to abroad, countries like Dubai, Switzerland, Germany, Austria, Estonia, these are the countries which have started opening up. Country like Malaysia came up now that you can do a single entry visa to Malaysia, and other countries are opening up. Inbound, that's $1 billion question for all of us. The inbound to India means inbound to our region, which means India, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. We all are neighboring countries and work in tandem. Tourists going to Nepal come to India, go to Bhutan. Tourists coming to India go to Bhutan, Nepal, or Sri Lanka. So it's a region we have to look in collectively, totality, how we can have cross our few countries as a border tourism. Our Prime Minister announced in Goa last week, just before the World Tourism Day, that Goa will be the first state and the airport to be opened up for the charters to start with. But the people coming on the charters, A, need to be double vaccinated, B, RT-PCR test 72 hours before departure from their respective countries. And that's a norm practically with most of the countries. So that's a welcome sign. The date hasn't been given as yet, but what we understand, India is looking at the festive season, which is Dussehra, as my friend in Nepal would know, and Durga Puja. So these are the times when cases may go up with everything being open, people being in a festive mood. So government is keeping a very close eye, and probably by mid-October, early November, they should start opening up, along with also opening up airports at Delhi and Bombay and Kolkata for the tourists, and start giving tourist visas. When I'm saying that, I'm saying it on record that Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of External Affairs, and Health are almost on the same page, with Prime Minister being keen on it. Neighboring countries are opening up, but India is not taking them as yet, and that should come in within next 3 to 5 weeks. It should be in place. This is what I would say, leaving time for other panelists, and then I come to other things.
Thank you, Rajneeshji. Now we have another leading figure, Mr. Ashok Pokhrel. He is currently heading as a president of Nepal Association of Tour Operators. He has contributed as a board member for Nepal Tourism Board, the National Tourism Organization of Nepal, and the National Flight Carrier Nepal Airlines. He has headed PATA also, Pacific Asia Travel Associations, I would like to welcome and invite Mr. Ashok Pokhrel to share some of to highlight on the Nepal side. In Nepal also, the vaccination rate is going very well. Most of the iconic destinations, for example, Everest region, Annapurna region, national parks like Chiton, Bardia, cities like Kathmandu, Chiton are almost fully vaccinated. I was reading a good news this morning in the paper that nearly 70% in Kathmandu city are already vaccinated. So and very recently government has removed mandatory quarantine also. In this context, Ashokji, what is the mindset of our industry and how our tourism fraternity is moving ahead? I mean, what are the collaboration we are looking for or the initiatives we are stepping into ahead? Please share some of the insights.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joshi. And good morning, good afternoon, as the case may be, to all of our friends, and even good evening to some of them. Well, as I think Deepak ji has already mentioned that a lot of the issues that are going on. Nepal is open. That's I think in the region we are the first country to throw open our doors. Nepal is open. Visas on arrival are now available to everybody except those on the negative list, and that's the negative list that was already in place before the pandemic. So those people need to get visas before they come to Nepal. Otherwise, for everybody else, visa on arrival is now available, including for regional travelers. And unless, of course, your own government is stopping you from traveling, that's a different ballgame. But as far as Nepal is concerned, we're open, and the double vaccinated tourists, visitors, even business people do not need to quarantine any longer. They can come to the airport, get their visa, and go about their business. And why is that? That is based on two things. One of those things already, Deepak ji has already touched on that, is a very robust vaccination drive that is going on. We have a population of about 28 million people. 9 million are now fully vaccinated. In Kathmandu city, almost 70% of the inhabitants are vaccinated. And beyond that, what has happened is there is along with the WHO carried out a seroprevalence test, and the prevalence of antibodies in the population is at about 70%. So even those who have not been vaccinated, they've been infected and cured, or the virus has just gone through them, like knife through a hot butter, I suppose. And no damage was done to them, at least. Whereas we did suffer considerable losses. We've had about 11,000 people, upward of 11,000 people who have succumbed to COVID. Almost 1 million people were infected altogether. So it has left its mark. But the government of Nepal now feels that the worst is behind us, and we would hope so too. Now, against that background, of course, we need to align the data that is coming from international bodies, from people like IATA, and such things, and some other think tanks as well. So the recovery, just because we've thrown our doors open, does not mean it's going to bounce back. We need to be a little pragmatic here. It's not going to be a V-shaped curve as most governments would like to hope, and most tax authorities would hope. The central taxation authorities, they are looking forward to making money off the backs of tourists. It's not going to happen that fast, and it's going to be a very lazy upward sloping curve for most destinations. And there's also going to be a lot of accounting for changed demographics in travel. And dynamics. We're going to see the end of large group travel. I think we're going to see small groups traveling, friends and families traveling together, wanting to stay away from other travelers. So maybe as Damcho mentioned, the experiences are going to be more important than the destination itself. Increasingly, it was already happening as a trend, and I think that's going to be this pandemic is going to push everything firmly into that grade. Is that the people are going to be looking more for experiences than for just travel for travel's sakes. And I was just reading up on what IATA the International Air Transport Association was saying, and their forecast is that passenger levels will only get to 2019 levels by the end of 2024, and that is a full 2 years from now. And so that is what's we need to reconcile all of our opening gambits against what's coming from the outside as well. It might not go to 2024, but it could at least go well into 2023. And 2022 is already knocking on the door, and nothing is going to change until at least halfway through that year. People are scared. There is obviously there is that the fear that if people travel, will they get sick? Where are they going to travel? I'm like, when people travel to some place like Nepal, even India, what are the medical facilities? If I do get sick, there are various variants. It is an established fact that because you already had COVID or you have a antibody present in your bloodstream does not make you immune to COVID. You can still get sick, which at least 10% are still going to hospital. Okay, maybe less than 2% are succumbing to the illness, but these are statistics. Like you don't want to be part of that 2%. You would rather stay home and stay safe. You'll travel internally. You'll travel closer to home, and all of these things need to be reconciled when we are planning on opening our destinations. What I was talking to, I think Deepak Joshi just last week, and I was telling him, we've had a lot of new hotels that have come up, in the interim. These were projects that were built along, a curve, which was basically, we were growing at double digit. Tourism to Nepal was going at double digit. So new hotels were planned, international chain hotels we're talking about. So these have already come up. And when tourists start coming in, I expect that only 20% of the 2019 arrivals will actually come in 2022. So what's going to happen is we're basically looking at a bloodbath, a pricing bloodbath. And that is something that, I think in Nepal and India, where it's going to be very difficult to avoid, even in Bangladesh. Maybe in Bhutan, you can avoid this because your tourism policy is a little different from the rest of the world. But these are things that need to be reconciled. And we have our protocols in place, as was being mentioned previously. In fact, we've had our protocols in place for a very long time, updating against the present scenario. But our protocols were put in place, I think, about a year ago. For people, for every segment of the travel industry. How buses are to be disinfected, up to how treks are to be run, how not to come into contact with local populations. That was done then. COVID was raging. COVID is a different story now. So those things obviously need to be reconciled, reworked, and we will see what happens in the coming days. But Nepal is open. We have, we already have mountaineering groups out in the mountains for the autumn climbing season. There are some trekkers, I believe, out on the trails. These are hardy souls. So adventure tourism will bounce back first, is our feeling at the Nepal Association of Tour Operators. This will be followed by business travelers. Will be followed by small groups, visiting friends and relatives. That is going to come back. Things like MICE, big group travel. This is going to be a very iffy thing because although we are open for it, we have our protocols in place. The people who organize these tours have, they're usually larger companies that have larger liabilities in place. So, they will be very loath to send, MICE and big group travel to places like Nepal, where the health infrastructure, so to speak, is iffy, compared to what they already have, what they are used to. On the one hand, on the other hand, like I said, their liabilities are too big in this regard. So I think for opening, I think that's about it. Let's carry on, Deepakji, and we will see where it goes from here.
Thank you very much for your very, very insightful thoughts and points. I would like to go with Rajneeshji again. Rajneeshji, in major source market, when the major tour operators, they sell our region, they sell joint packages, especially India, Nepal, Bhutan. Talking about the India as a both source market, inbound and outbound market, It's a very big outbound market also. I was going through data last week. In 2019, nearly so.
Yeah, lost your voice in between for last 30 seconds.
Yeah, sorry.
Lost your voice for 30 seconds. Can you repeat?
Yeah, basically, in major source markets, the joint packages of India, Bhutan, Nepal, the major tour operators, they are sailing. India itself is a very big outbound market, an emerging market. Just give us, especially for Nepal and Bhutan, how we can, reconnect with the tour operators or the consumers in India. Give us some suggestions, how to reconnect to revive our tourism in the region.
Thanks, Deepak ji. Firstly, I will say I wanted to add few things at us next term, but would have got a chance to speak again. Mr. Shok Pokhriyal has covered it very, very well. Those things is like large group tourism, big MICE tourism is going to take time. Indian MICE also happening in Nepal is going to take some time because of the protocols by the various multinational companies in India or otherwise. And that goes for almost all the places. We are looking at the present trend in India, what I'm seeing. I've traveled in last 1 year to Goa during New Year, to Leh Ladakh, to Himachal, to Rajasthan, and I was in Kolkata. And the trends which I'm seeing, small groups of friends, families, mostly self-driven by surface. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at offbeat places. And when they're looking at offbeat smaller places to avoid the maddening rush of the crowded beaten track of the tourism places. There is a trend which is emerging. For sure, our numbers of the international tourism arrivals as India, Nepal, Bhutan, or Nepal, Bhutan, or India, Bhutan, India, Nepal, it's not that you walk out of your house and buy a toothpaste. People are vary internationally. People have their definite concerns of safety measures. The very fact is we are not part of developed countries which having the top of the line medical facilities. Fact of the matter is, Jürgen would agree that same thing is happening right now, even in America with overflowing hospitals or, in Texas and all these places and in California. But in the Western world, they're still able to handle, though, whatever the numbers could be, with 200,000 cases in a day on an average plus minus. My daughter is there in India now studying there, and she keeps giving the feedback plus with the people. So as India, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and there's a lot of cross-border tourism along with corporate clients covering these places. First and foremost is the free travel with not having border restrictions, and most importantly, if not same, at least similar rules of 2 vaccines, of RT-PCR being common, and thirdly, very important, a common set of SOPs when the tourist is there or before he comes. What are the standard operating procedures we need to follow to ensure the confidence in the traveler's mind? Plus, we also ensure once they are here, they feel positive about it and they go back with a positive feeling. Because if they go back the first 3 to 6 months, they go back with a positive feedback, we'll definitely get the numbers, but not maybe that desired, but by 23, more numbers will come. 22 is going to be trials and more trials. Trust me, that's how it's going to be, because my European clients, they take 6 months to 1 year to travel and decide. I've been talking to my guests and they say, it's too late for us to come for January, February, or March as series. So smaller ad hocs, yes. Now, when I say standard operating procedures should be the common, is like, maybe we can, I was talking to our Ministry of Tourism here, our Secretary of Tourism here, we took up this point, and apparently they may be getting in touch with Ashok Pokhriyalji for you also, for Nepal Tourism also to get in touch with Indian government, and so does Bhutan once you open up, that we should have similar guidelines. For example, let's have a kind of a common kind of a QR code if they're doing India, Nepal, Bhutan, or a thing like that, which is readable, not on the passport, but otherwise, so that we know if somebody is coming from India to Nepal. I get groups coming from Nepal to India, flying on Turkish Airlines, for example, or people coming via Bhutan from Bangkok to, Paro and Paro to Delhi or Kolkata. So entries like this among us, if somebody has traveled, are they going to do RT-PCR for each and every country? If somebody is coming for 2 days to Kathmandu and then wants to come to India, again, does he need an RT-PCR? That much time may not be there. So how do we take it forward? This is one very, very important factor. The common set of SOPs and rules within our countries. Only then we can have a seamless travel. This I'm talking about a foreign tourist. Then another very important point, which has already been highlighted, but I also wish to add, we need to give confidence to a foreign traveler, particularly the tourism generating countries in the Western world, is not only that we are safe, or our Suro survey says that most of them have antibodies, they have had COVID, or we had so many vaccines. More so than that, they require a confidence on our medical facilities. A tourist who is probably towards Namche or on a trek towards Annapurna to near Tulokinath side or Jomsom, and he develops a COVID or signs, how can he be evacuated? What are the local facilities at hand? For me, in India, somebody in Leh Ladakh or somebody in a jungle safari, what is there in a smaller place nearby, and how many people to make sure don't come into contact with them, how they are treated. This is something my agents are talking and checking with us from different countries, because European protocols, the European travel laws are amongst the most strict. And we need to definitely look into that to satisfy that urge as well. I'll just share with one thing with you, Mr. Pokhran probably would know, and even Mr. Damcho would know, that European operators have started asking for an insurance, and we have our company insured for $1 million, for which I pay premium every year for last 3 years. And when we sign the contracts for the series, I'm talking pure practical commercial business here for our countries. And we give them the certificate, okay, we have that much of insurance for them to come. 3 days back, my Dutch operator on Monday asked me, Rajneesh, we would like this for $3 million. That means my price for insuring without having any business or small business in 22 automatically goes up only on this account by 3 times to pay the premium. And they're asking for that. I don't know what Shokji has to say, but I saw him nodding his head. Probably he has also come across something like that. So this is something SOPs, these kind of protocols, plus safety measures we have to take. I'll give you a small example. India is a large country. You have heard of a place called Khajuraho, for example, between Varanasi and Agra. It's a small town of 5,000 people. A tourist goes there. The town has been vaccinated, but somebody comes in local contact with them, a youngster who could be asymptomatic or something. As we all rightly know, that double vaccine doesn't mean that you may not catch, only the severity would be less. So same is the case with Nepal. Bhutan, of course, very sparsely populated and things are not yet, but Bangladesh is like us. So on these lines, we need to be careful, because let's be very, very clear on the fact, without being naive, that from a country like India, 10 foreign tourists go back half the way with with a COVID case out of million coming, as against 17 million, or let's say 1 or 2 from Nepal or Bhutan go, is going to send a very wrong message. So we must get our house in order. Government has to be very serious about it. This Hindi word, I will say, maybe Jürgen may not get it, but I'll translate. Chalta hai attitude will not work, which generally does work for bureaucrats, but not on the ground reality when we people as entrepreneurs, as running our businesses privately, face it. I was in Leh 3 weeks back, small groups and families, 350 hotels in Leh, 4,000 plus commercial vehicles, everything packed. Everything packed. Luckily, no cases, nothing is happening, and hopefully it goes like that. But we have to be careful. Then, other than common SOPs, one more thing which comes in, that how amongst us, like now, India is looking into opening of the international flights. Nepal is opened up, Bhutan yet has to open. Bangladesh, I'm not very sure what the aviation policy is coming for in the coming months. But India is looking at going back to scheduled flights sometime in November or latest by December. Once that starts happening, it will be business for all of us. But the word of caution, we got to be careful. Here, one thing which India has ensured, particularly the tourism trade as privately, the hotel federations, the hotel associations, the travel agents, the tour operators, the frontline workers in our country, as much as possible, have been double vaccinated. So these are that means the real supplier, the guide, the driver, the porter at the hotel, the doorman, the shopkeepers, we have, for example, city of Jaipur or Agra, the main tourism bazaars, people have been vaccinated. Goa, all along the beach, Kalangut, Baga, Kandalim, people have been vaccinated all across. So that is what we need to do for common SOPs and start traveling within our own countries. Yes, and then we go on.
Thank you, Rajesh. Now I will come to Damchoji. Basically, India and Nepal are the two major gateways to Bhutan. So, especially after the crisis, regions coming together, not only in the crisis, but other time also we have been coming together. But at this special time to come over from this, the challenge of pandemic, what you are, what are your thoughts, how regions should come together or can come together, especially India, Bhutan, and Nepal?
Okay, thank you. I think I was a little brief in the initial sharing of my thoughts. I think I want to pick it up from Mr. Rajnish about confidence. And for Bhutan, of course, with the hard work of His Majesty the King, of course, the government, we are very fortunate to have managed our COVID well. So that way, a lot of countries have classified Bhutan as a green country. So they have confidence in Bhutan. But the challenge for us is because it has to be connected from Bangkok, Nepal, India, Bangladesh. So the transit has been one of the biggest issues for us. Now, unlike in the past where people could easily transit, now many countries have actually lifted the free air transit agreements that they have between countries. So that's making it difficult for people to transit. So there is no one PNR system. You have to go to different countries and fly. So that has been one of the biggest challenges. So that's where I think the region has to come together of air transit. And then, of course, the confidence of when you transit or when you travel to another country is also another big issue, as Mr. Rajnish shared, the confidence. But one of the things that the region could come together is the transit collaboration, the air service agreements, reviving the air service agreements. Now, I think there are quite a few things that we need to do. The other thing we were thinking is, of course, Mr. Deepak mentioned about India, Nepal, and Bhutan having this joint packages. People come from other, like for example, Europe and the US and Australia. They come here for this joint packages. They hardly come for one country. They travel to a few other countries, and usually it's India, Nepal, and Bhutan. So when you have this kind of information that they produce, especially the travel advisors at the source markets, is very important. There's recently some countries, I think they don't have Bhutan as a safe country, or Bhutan as no information for Bhutan. So that way, the people wanting to come to countries like Bhutan, if they don't really know much about Bhutan, then I think the travel advisors would say otherwise or confusing, then it impacts the other neighboring countries. And it'd be similar if Bhutan was featured well in the travel advisory, and if India or Nepal wasn't featured well in the travel advisory, then impact. So I think as a region, we need to work on, of course, understanding, or we know our source markets, of getting to the source markets, whether it be country to country, bilateral, and get the correct information there of how we are trying to open our countries. One of the things I want to actually forget to mention earlier is Bhutan, full vaccination, 14 days quarantine, and if single or no vaccination, 21 days quarantine. We had piloted one tourist just last month, but we will open soon. I think like I mentioned earlier, we just working on a few other things in terms of giving a good standard quality. The other thing that the region could look is the COVID-19 digital certification system. So we could have SOPs and things like that, but if there is no interconnected system of verifying this COVID-19 certificate, with this day and age, with digital age, you can produce anything, from anywhere. But to have a confidence, trusted COVID-19 digital certificate system, it could be a digital passport. The region could work. I mean, we could, the whole world could have it. But I think to initially start, it's so much easier to do it between 3 countries. Why not? So that's something that I think we could look at, and also to really to understand how our system of immigration and customs work, whether it be now initially before pre-COVID, it was so much easier for people to just travel and transit. The immigrations and the customs of the countries, neighboring countries didn't need to speak because there was no need to speak much. But now, is there a need to speak between these agencies at the border gates? So these are, I think, some of the areas of how we could really look at collaborating. So COVID-19 digital certification program, but other important thing is, of course, having the right kind of information at the source markets. So that's quite important to have people visit. So like I said, Bhutan is actually classified as a green country. We're very grateful, of course, of the COVID being managed well. So we have people wanting to come from India, we have people wanting to come from Nepal, but we also have people wanting to come from other countries to go to countries like India and Nepal, or to countries like Singapore, because Bhutan has managed our COVID well and it's classified as green country. So how could we take advantage of advantages like what we have of Bhutan, and how could we take advantage of how Nepal has opened, how India is opening? So I think these are the areas of how we can collaborate to move forward and actually get tourism rolling. I mean, it's looking 21 maybe very not so likely, but 22 and 23 I think probably more likely. So in this area, I think it's very practical for me, connectivity, and then the information verification of how people safely get to countries and safely come back. It's actually key in terms of course, the other importance of providing a wonderful experience. So these are some of the things I think we feel important to work as a collaborative approach to have tourism restart again. Thank you.
Deepak ji, I just want to add one thing to what Damchoji said, if I'm allowed, and then you may continue.
Yeah, please.
What is Damchoji, as you said about kind of a common system, which I also mentioned earlier. I just want to share this. Of course, India also has the digital passport, and internationally the COVID passport is thing like you carry it digitally. But what I was talking about, the QR code, which could be very useful for all of us during transits and all that, as you mentioned, for Nepal, Bhutan, India, wherever, is the 126 countries have already agreed for this Australian system of QR code, and more would be falling in place. They haven't implemented it, a lot of them, but they are more or less in principle agreeing. We are asking Ministry of Tourism, Government of India also to look into that. They have accepted in principle, but yet have to implement it. This is something which can take it further during these transits and other things, and repetitive hassle, avoid the repetitive hassle to the tours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I will come to Mr. Ashok Pokhrel. Basically, disruptions create opportunities for the better things also. So what kind of after this pandemic, what better you notice in Nepal's tourism, or how it could have been better? So some of the thoughts in this line, then we'll move ahead. Yeah, brief remarks, Mr. Ashok Pokhrel.
Thank you, Mr. Joshi. I think I already mentioned, that the bounce back is not going to be easy. Like we would hope that it's easy, but this is going to be a long, slippery slope, and it's also going to be, full of pitfalls. A new variant could throw everything out of gear, just as easily. Something could change, and we'd be looking at another 18 months of lockdown. And unfortunately, like when governments make decisions on things like lockdown, pandemic announced, nobody bothers about what happens to the tourists or the tourism industry. So that is that is where we are. We're a very soft target. We have we don't have a very loud voice. We are a big industry. We're bigger than the arms industry. We were worth $3 or $4 trillion before the pandemic. but the governments don't seem to be missing that revenue any longer. I don't know why, but that's what it is. Now, what could have been done differently? I think I was listening to what Damcho said. Read in his opening remarks, and Bhutan has done it correctly. I think, and at least in some respects, they are renovating their hotels. Those that were used for quarantine, they are upgrading their product so that the visitor is going to get a better visitor experience. And that is what we should all have invested in. 18 months is a long time. I'm like, I think I can see that Mr. Kast, is shaking his head, and he seems to be agreeing with me that a lot could have been done. And in Nepal, the Nepal Association of Tour Operators, very early on in the pandemic, we had said that we need protection for three things. One is we need to employees, because all of them have been without a job for 18 months, and nobody, no company in its right mind has, has working capital that's going to last us for 18 months. The working capital was over 3 months into the pandemic. After that, people have been laid off. People don't have work. They need to be looked after. Because if they exit the industry, if they leave the country to go work in the Middle East, when tourists come back, we don't have this manpower. We're going to have a manpower shortage, or the better manpower will have moved on to other industries. Okay, that is one thing. The other thing that we said was the government needs to work on protecting the investment. So people have put money into hotels, into vehicles, into all sorts of things, and vehicles have been gathering rust for the last 18 months. Hotel rooms are degraded. They have not been used. We also talked about a long monsoon. That's not been very kind to. That's not very kind to things like hotel rooms that are not used. So all these things come into play. I'm like, that is also should have been protected. Last thing that needed protection was the investor, people like us. We also needed, because we have our money is already sunk. It's water under the bridge. Now, when tourists start coming back in, we need funding to restart, and that is something that we are now all ineligible for because we have 2 years of negative balance sheets. So we cannot go to a bank and ask them for money because the bank will say, show me your papers. When we show them the papers, the papers don't look very good now, do they? So these things are coming into play. So these things should have been addressed on the one hand. On the other hand, what could have been done, was we could have retrained our workforce, reskilled our workforce, so that when tourists do return, they're returning to a better destination with a educated, better skilled workforce set. We could have renovated our hotels. 18 months, a lot of work could have been done. Most of the big hotels, the 5-star properties, the 4-star properties, even the smaller properties could have been renovated by now, or at least they would have been well on their way to being renovated by the time passenger numbers hit, what used to be in 2019. We could have rejuvenated our destinations, a lot of reforestation, replanting, say repairs, where trails were bad, could have repaired the trails where things could have been improved, we could have improved that. There could have been some amount of reinvestment from the government. The government has lived off, at least in the case of Nepal, for the last 50 years, they've lived off tourism revenues. So some of that revenue could have been reinvested in the tourism industry, into the communities, that sort of thing. And also, we could have revamped our health facilities. This was a good opportunity. We talked about, when passengers come back, they will need to be reassured that, we have health facilities that are up to scratch. And these 18 months, this could have happened. New hospitals could have been set up. Existing hospitals could have had their facilities upgraded, but a lot of time was wasted, I think, in the region as a whole. And these things would have inspired some amount of confidence in visiting, tourists. That if these things were done, they would have said, okay, well, I can go to Nepal because their health system is vastly improved. But that is not the case. So as Mr. Kast said, tourists don't yet have the confidence to travel to our region, and that is something that we need to work on.
Very much. Now, today's session was also supported by RA Technology Management. So we have a very brief presentation, maybe 5-6 minutes. So I would like to highlight that part. Then we'll take few questions and we'll close. Hopefully in 10 to 15 minutes of time, we'll wrap up. A brief presentation. I think the screen is visible, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, we all know we went through very, very hard time in last 20 months. Basically, we had to adopt different strategies for our survival, manage very hard to manage cash flows. We adopt several measures to cut down the cost. Maybe we have laid off staffs, but at the same time, few good things also happen and happening. I believe gone are the days when the advanced packers or backpackers. Now it is turning into flash packers. They are not the buying the packages in advance of like 1 year or 6 months. So the new trend is people are instantly booking their packages and moving. So once we are ready, people are ready to move. So that is one thing. One new trend is happening. Second is most of the companies, they are trying to digitize themselves. That's the mandatory, I think, the way ahead. And then another thing is because of this growing vaccination rate all over the world has also encouraged tourism industry. In this line, our very passionate developer have developed one very unique technology for our travel industry. Basically for tourism entrepreneurs. I am also one of the team member of this incredible team. This might be useful for our industry, so that we are showing a few slides here. This is developed for travel tour taking companies and any companies that are handling B2B or B2C clients. They can use this technology. I mean the travel related technology. The capacity wise, at least 100 staffs, they can use this technology at a time. I mean the travel management system technology. Another we have developed is the hotel, I mean the PMS type of technology, which is useful for the small unique hotels to non-star to star hotel subcategory. Basically, this system is developed and designed to digitize our business operations, our daily business operation. We all know when the data is in fingertips, it helps us for better decision and quicker decision. That is the most important thing we are looking for. And this is the technology that this incredible team has developed is a single technology that helps to handle so many key functions in our daily operations, like for example in hotels, inquiry handling, booking and reservation, front desk, check-in, check-out, inventory management, managing different POS. These all kind of key features that are incorporated in this technology. In, for example, in travel tour, itinerary making, lead management or inquiry handling, cost calculation. We all know how difficult it is in especially in the season to manage different, the groups. For example, 40, 50 groups in a day. So some groups are high in the mountains, some are inside the museum, some are in different locations, and it is very, very difficult and stressful to manage the things. So this technology is developed to help us tremendously in these regions. For example, report generation, data management, so many key features are incorporated in this technology. One thing I must say here, the tech guy, they doesn't know what the industry is, and the industry guys, they are not so much into the technology, I mean the adapting in the system. So our group has developed this technology to transform the business through digitization. This technology makes, when we go into the technology, it obviously enhance our image of the organization, and it is hugely cost saving. We did on research, at least that it can replace 10 to 12 staffs with 2 staffs. That can be done, and with almost zero human error. The key features while talking about the hotel management system, contact management, inquiry management, room management, office management, booking reservations, front desk management, housekeeping. For example, in a mobile phone, anybody of your system or of your team can keep record of how many hotel rooms are empty now, how many are in under housekeeping, how many rooms are booked. For example, that kind of many key features we have in this system. This is a single technology uh, built-in cloud-based system in PHP core language. The report generation is our another key features which helps us in our business. This is a very customized technology, can be owned fully by the entrepreneur or business operator who owns it. Uh, Three, four key things are highly prioritized while developing this technology. One is easy to use, because when it is not easy to use, nobody uses it. I mean, the team doesn't use it, and when there is no use, no impact. And second is this technology is made very, very safe. Safety is another key concern of our tourism industry. There are so many permitted modules, dedicated server, registered devices. For example, which staffs used which device while using this technology can be identified easily. For the safety reason, we have developed two-step verifications. This can be operated in dedicated Wi-Fi IP only until unless we give permission to use from other Wi-Fi IP addresses. Very swift data backup restore system, and the owner, they can change passwords. So that kind of so many systems we have. In a nutshell, it is easy to use, flawless service delivery and operation, very, very fast, time saving, very accurate, and almost zero human error. Every information of your business is in fingertips, very, very cost saving, quick decision making, and obviously data management is key in our business operations. So this system is very, very useful. Besides hotel management system and travel and tour management system, we have developed tourism transport management system for spa and club management, customer management system, office management system. So these type of systems it is. We are doing demos. If you are interested, please feel free to connect with our friends. These are the numbers and email ID. Our team can be accessed through WhatsApp and Viber also, and email all the time. So basically, this technology is developed to help our industry transform our business with limited human resource. Basically, at this time, at this challenging time, we are looking for various cost measures. We cannot, revive all the, recall all the staffs. With limited staffs, we have to do many jobs. So this technology can be tremendously helpful. Few travel companies in Nepal and in Asia Pacific region have already used, and they have given us very, very good feedback. Feel free to connect with the team in these given numbers. We'll be happy to help you. And my mission and campaign and our team's mission and campaign is to digitize our tourism industry. So feel free. They had supported us. So I presented a few slides here. I'm coming back to, again, the main presentation. We'll take a few questions if you have for, let's say, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then we'll wrap up the session. If there is any questions to particular speakers, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions.
Maybe until speakers get here, may I just recognize, I think 2 of our heroes are actually here on board, and one, Diana McIntyre, she's joining us from Jamaica, and it's now.
Oh, Diana is here. Welcome, Diana.
So it's like, must be like 1:30 in the morning in Jamaica. So you see how committed she is, even to Nepal and Bhutan. Thank you for being here, Diana. We also have Efsun in Azerbaijan joining us. He's also one of our heroes. And just wanted to mention this. He was recognized recently when he was still down with COVID, and he had a hard time talking at the event we did for him. And I know he's feeling a lot better, and I'm glad you do.
Thank you, Mr. Stamos. Thank you, Mr. Joshi, for your presentation. It was very interesting. I have just one question. Can you talk a little bit more about, I saw the tourism transport management system. It was very interesting for me.
Yeah, it is developed for the transport vehicle management system. So in this system, there are many key features: inquiry handling to customer management, to managing the different vehicles, drivers, and GPS tracking. Everything is there. We'll connect with you for detailed demo. We have detailed demo also. We'll connect in very soon. Thank you very much for connecting with us, and welcome to this session virtually this time. We are welcoming in this region, and very soon we'll be interested to welcome you physically in our region, the beautiful region. Thank you. So I think there are no questions right now. And at last, I would like to request again our chairman, Mr. Jürgen Stemmes, to give some of the, the insights, how the industry is looking for our region, what are the feedbacks, because you have been in various forums talking about tourism, getting feedbacks. So what is the mindset of major source market about our region, India, Nepal, Bhutan? So just give us some insights and give us closing remarks also, Jürgen.
Well,
thank you.
I mean, I found this session was very interesting. I think this was my third session I attended for the Himalayan region, what's one of the most important regions for tourism. Even if you go beyond the regions, I think this world needs to learn how to live and operate with COVID. As Dansho rightfully says, COVID will not be gone today, tomorrow, next year, or even the year after. And this is the same with many viruses we have experienced in our lifetime and before. We have to find a way to live with this, and we have to find a way to operate businesses with this. The vaccine is definitely a major factor, and sometimes I think the industry is too shy to really stand up in many cases and say, look, I mean, this is how we can do it. True leadership is necessary in the world of tourism. And I think right now, it's simply not there. Everyone is doing their own thing. Every organization, whether it's UNWTO, WTTC, you name it, UNWTO, in my opinion, is pretty much worthless. I mean, having wine festivals right now is not the best time to do, and having meetings to discuss this emergency every 3 times a year is also not enough. WTTC is obviously going through some changes, very effective with the private sector because their livelihood depends on it. So we have to learn who to listen to, who to work with, and all of us should find a way to sit on a global table and coordinate things. There's the health department. What vaccine pass are we recognizing? Which one are we not recognizing? And this is way beyond Bhutan and Nepal and India. The whole world has to work together. And that's what I'm hoping we can help, at least in our small part, with WTN and the many initiatives like this one that reach out to us and we provide a platform for. This communication has to simply get organized, and it has to come to a point. We shouldn't be shy to say, okay, let's allow people that are vaccinated travel. We don't allow people who are not vaccinated. It's tough to say this. I can understand that. But we have to be realistic because COVID is not going to go away. But what will go away is our livelihood, our businesses, our distribution. I can tell you here in the United States, we're one of the most resourceful countries. I just got a warning here while I was sitting here that most likely we have shortages of toilet paper again. We're going to have shortages of clothing coming in. And that's not because no one could make the clothing or the toilet paper, it's because of transportation issues, of labor issues. It's more than tourism. And tourism plays such a major role beyond the tourism itself, because it keeps the world moving and the world open. And that's pretty much my thoughts about, I'm more like a global thinker, but we need this regional approach, and we all have to come together. And with looking at people like Deepak, Efsun, Diana, our heroes, and so many more people in this industry, I think we can achieve it, but we have to be persistent. It's not, we cannot wait for someone else to do something. We got to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, organized timers. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Thank you, eminent speakers, Damchoji, Ashokji, Rajnishji, for your valuable time and insights that you shared with us. Thank you very much. Thank you all the participants for your valuable time. Thank you, Diana, for joining us from quite a distance, and Efsan, thank you very much. We are hoping to welcome you very soon. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.